Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BAFCA Coaching Convention. It's your host, Adam Wilkin here. I'm joined by Sean, a member of Brit Balling that's normally hidden in the background. But I've invaded his house because if you've watched the last live episode, my internet was absolutely terrible. So, Sean, welcome to the stream.
Good evening, everyone. We'll see how well this works with us both being in the same room and the microphone's working. If it gets too much, then I'll drop out. But it's always a pleasure to be here, and being a second-rate mic is my dream in life.
I thought you'd enjoy that, mate. Well, we've got a very busy schedule today. I'm having to keep mute each other's mics, by the way, so I'm going to apologise now. But we're going to pull everyone into the stream because, as usual, people aren't here to watch us. We've got a lot more important people on here. So, first of all, we've got Phoebe. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's great to see you both again.
I know. Thanks for coming on, Phoebe. Really appreciate it. And next up, we've got Alex.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi,
nice
welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you guys.
I hope I'm going to say this name right. Is it Nina or no? I can't say that. I'm like Geordie. Like that's like too many vowels for me.
No, you're spot on. That's right.
Yes. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
And then we've got Alexia. I'm saying that right? I'm totally dyslexic when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So we're going to just do like a quick rotation, like a little 30-second elevator pitch to who you are, just so for everyone watching, they can get to know you guys before we dive into this. So Phoebe, quick elevator pitch on yourself, please.
Okay, quick elevator pitch. So I am the GB Under-19s coach. I work within BAFA and BAFCA, whether in women's development or coach development. I used to coach for Buffalo Bills. I play for Great Britain Contact and Flag. And one of the managing directors of the UK Dukes. And I've got teammates on this call and awesome women on this call. I've got to meet Lexi in real life. So I feel very fortunate that I've got such a cool community. 30 seconds.
You kept it really short. I was like, this is going to be brilliant. That's the quickest, longest elevator pitch ever, I thought. It was great.
And I currently am assistant DC of the Potsdam Royals until I get killed by my two wonderful coworkers here for not mentioning.
I was waiting. I was expecting them to jump on the call there, by the way. Alex, quick elevator pitch, please.
Yeah, cool. So I work for BAFCA doing marketing, but I've previously got coaching experience with GB Women, with Birmingham Lions Women. A very long time ago, I played a bit of football for GB Women. And yeah, I'm still coaching, but coaching rugby at the moment, which is a bit of a change, but really exciting. Yeah.
That's the one where you're just allowed to pass it backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, just backwards.
Yeah, wait, never mind. Nina, quick elevator pitch, please.
Oh, not as much to say as the other guys, I'm sure. Birmingham Lions ex-player and GB for a while, and I'm coaching the DBs at Birmingham Lions now. Love
it. Thanks very much. Alexia, on yourself, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name's Alexia. I'm currently the video graduate assistant at the University of Akron in Akron, Ohio. This is actually my first role being in football, so I'm really excited to be here and to share with you all.
We're very excited to have you. So this episode is, I'm going to read the title out. It's a great title. Fearless and Fabulous Women in Football. I love that title. Love it. Because let's be honest, we need to talk about this sort of stuff. So thank you for coming on. I'm going to hand it over to you guys now. So Alexia, I know you've got a bit of a presentation for us to give. So whenever you want to jump in, share your screen, feel free, and we'll get going.
Yeah, sure. Let me share and get this up.
I have to say, I do love the title. I don't think I've ever been called Fabulous before.
It's a little bit more...
We think you're fabulous, don't we? Right? We love it.
All right. Let me see. Can you guys see me?
I can bring it on the screen right now. There we go.
Awesome. So yes, today we are talking about being fierce, fearless, and fabulous women in football. I chose these three words because I felt like For one, as women, they describe us, but we also are a force to be reckoned with in the workplace. I'm not going to waste any time. It's not a very long presentation, but let's just get to it. So each one of these words is a concept in itself. So the first one is fierce. So we're just going to talk about, let's be fierce. What's that mean, right? When I was thinking about a title, or even to think about, reflecting over my experience, what I think remarkable women in football are like, what they do. This word to me was just the epitome, like it's a no-brainer, right? So there's two components. There's an internal and an external component. The reason I feel that there's two components is because people have different perspectives on what the definition of fierce means. And so each component is a different definition that you can take in a different light. So this internal component, showing heartfelt and powerful intensity. This is obviously the internal part, because this is where you're going to truly find out what it is that you feel is important to football, or your role in football, or your position in football. So I always say passion is key. The reason I say passion is key is because I'm actually someone that does not come from football background. But I'm working in football, and I'm trying to pull strings to get other women in there, because obviously it's male dominated, it's a male sport. But within that passion, what is truly the root of what it is that I want to do? For me personally, I found that I want to help people. So using sport to help people, how do I want to do that, right? So that's my internal component. Obviously, everyone's got their own. The best way to bring this out and to show it in the workplace, I feel, is to make it your primary motivator, your why. And so how do you use your why? Discover why you feel passionate. For me, it goes back to when I was 5 years old. That's when I started playing sports. And then just kind of fast forward and through my experience to see, my struggles, my journeys, the relationships I've made, what did I learn? All of that, I spent the majority of my life doing that before I got to college. So to me, it's like, if I can take my story and share it to help somebody else, that's my ultimate goal. So that's my number one: discover why you're passionate. Two, never forget that. Remember that, because you're going to be tested. You're going to be put in situations, that you may not like, that you don't know how to handle. I always realize, like, kind of going back to my why kind of helps me break up those difficult, like, obstacles and whatnot. And then lastly, be clear on what, you're using your passion for. Like, how's it going to help you? Honestly, that kind of ties into the other two. I feel that if you have the first two down packed, and you know yourself, and you're true to what it is that you're doing, it can guide you to the goals that you've aligned with that passion. And then opposite that is your external component. So to me, this is more so your actions, what you display while at work. So having or displaying an intense or ferocious aggressiveness. Aggressiveness, people take that into the wrong way. I feel like sometimes you hear aggressiveness and you think negative. Not necessarily. And I'm one of those people that I don't necessarily think negative. I see it more as like a determinative characteristic. So be aggressive in actively pursuing your career, especially one that you desire. So one, for me, I said this before we went live, I really want to be an athletic director. That's my end game. What is it that I'm doing now that's going to help me get there? Am I actively pursuing a career, or am I actively doing the things I need to do, meet people, network, to kind of cross off those steps on my list? So ways that I felt like you could be aggressive without necessarily being negative is taking initiative in meetings. So like if there's something that's on your heart that you feel is important, or even if it's a one-on-one meeting, or, offense, defense unit, whatever, being vocal and making sure that your voice is heard, I feel like that's a good first step, because now everyone in the room knows how you feel and it's inclusive. Ask questions. You can ask my coach, Rich Warso. Shout out to you. I'm the question queen. But again, like I said, I don't come from football. So for me, asking questions is how I can kind of guide what it is that I'm doing. Do I know what I'm talking about? The more I know, I feel I can contribute more to the group. So ask questions. Learning new skills. As soon as you ask that question, apply it to whatever it is that you're doing, so that you kind of just add on to your skill set. And again, that just kind of enhances, your knowing of what's going on, how we operate. Building relationships, you're going to hear that a million times. And then obviously move with purpose. What I mean by that is be intentional with your actions. The decisions that you make, don't just go through emotions. Don't just do them because someone told you to. Like, understand what it is that you're doing and move with purpose. Like, go somewhere with that. And then lastly, find your fierce. Everyone's fierce is different. I'm one I feel like I'm outgoing. I can talk to anybody. I can knock on anyone's door. I have no problem, starting a conversation with a stranger. I use that to my benefit. That's how I create relationships. I'm no problem walking up and cold calling, conversation, any of that. But if you're going to be like that, walk it out too. That's what I mean by talk it and walk it. I can say that, but I can back it up because I know that people have seen me do it. Phoebe was actually one of the people I just randomly, we had a mutual connection. Send her a text message. If I get a response, great. If I don't, I'm going to text her again. Things like that work, which is why, we keep saying those things and we continue.
I love that. Can I just go back on that last one?
Yeah.
So I just want to reach this out to everyone that's here. And I'd just like to ask the question across the board, if possible. What is how did you discover that you were passionate about this sport?
How did I discover? Honestly, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So, like I stated, I was actually with our men's basketball team first. And that was my first ever, working with any sports team, and I kind of got lucky, I guess, in a sense. I think I got lucky that I worked in a men's sport prior to football. So I kind of got an idea of what it was like. My experience with them is very much different. So when I got to networking and, there was an ad out for basically student workers to come work in the video department. And it was like, I don't really, I don't know much about football, but, I understand the sport enough that I feel like I could do this. Got to talking with my coworkers, and one of them was already working in that, office. And so the more I talked to him, the more I talked to our former GA, and the more I talked to Coach Warsaw, it was like, hey, we have this opportunity. We're willing to teach it to you. Like, we just need you to show up. Signed off on it. Was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll do it. It's a skill set nonetheless, go in there and just, learn something new. Well, the more I was there, it was like the environment with my coworkers, the coaches, being at practice. Honestly, it reminded me of my athlete days, getting up early, having to be at workouts, having to be at film sessions. I didn't have that same experience before football. And so to me, they put me in an environment that I felt comfortable. And so that's when I was like, oh, I'm bought in. Like, I want to do this. I want to put on a show that women can do this, especially for football. You know what I'm saying? Because in my office specifically, there's not very many. It's me and one other girl. And we're actually on kind of opposite sides of the building of the spectrum. And so for me, it was really just the community, the family, the friendship that came with it, the camaraderie that came with it. And then to be a part of the program, I'm going on my third season. I've been here since the new staff came. So I was able to kind of develop with them and be there from the beginning. And hopefully, even after I leave, I can still kind of look back and check in with them. So for me, it was more of a personal connection that started professional.
I love that. Alex, what about you? How did you find out you were passionate about the sport?
I've been watching football since 2001. You go to the States and you go to a place and you pick a team and you're stuck with that team for the rest of your life, kind of thing. So I went to Tampa, which is obviously great right now. And then years later, like, I didn't really play sport at school very much. And then I found out that I was doing a podcast actually with some friends, and they had visited a local team to do an interview with them. And then I found out that it was a mixed team and I could get involved. So I kind of got started then, and really, really loved it. And I love the fact that it was so accessible. I think especially kind of British football. It was at the very beginning of women's football in the UK. And we always kind of say that it's a sport for everybody, but it really is. I think especially at the very beginning a few years ago. I just got into it really easily. I really loved it. It was growing, so it was really exciting at the time, and it still is in the UK. Like there's huge amount of potential for growth still. And I think that's what I really loved about it. And I think when I decided to make a transition from playing to coaching, it was just the idea of helping it develop and grow even further, and helping people kind of go through the process I did, which was, you see so many women come into it that just haven't played sports for a very long time, or are kind of coming back from injury, or have never really played a sport before. And I kind of really love the idea of kind of helping players develop through that process. And also kind of recognizing that often women respond to different types of coaching and might need to be coached in slightly different ways. So also kind of providing, because we have different bodies and they work in different ways. So also kind of helping to kind of provide insight on that, and working and adapting with players to kind of find ways that work for them. I really enjoyed. So that was kind of my journey.
I love that. That's brilliant. Nina, what about yourself?
Well, I played rugby for a lot of years, best part of 20 years really, and needed a new challenge. And then I found out that there was like a national development day before the sport really took off, probably where I met Phoebes actually. And just from like the second minute you were there, the buzz was amazing, and it reignited my passion for sport in general. So from playing a lot of rugby, feeling a bit kind of deflated by it in the end, just a bunch of girls from across the country really made it something special. And we took it from there to start the Birmingham Lions. So from the day one with Birmingham, it was just unlike any other sport. I think we had a lot of old heads in our team that didn't want it to be the way that some other teams had been in other sports. So we kind of created what we'd learned from the development day, and a real exciting buzz of new sport, and it's just never left me. It's just always been there. And since having a couple of babies, I've decided my body's probably not quite where it was in terms of playing. So just like Alex, I just want to help everybody else feel that buzz and get the excitement that I've got from the sport. It just doesn't leave you once you get it, does it? I suppose.
It's a bug that never goes away, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
like it's stuck with you. Phoebe, what about yourself?
I guess mine would kind of be a accumulation of all three, Alex, Lexi, and Nina's, just in terms of I wanted a challenge. I was looking for a way to meet people, and that networking side of things, and just being a part of something where you get to really grow it and be a part of that and feel like you really make a difference, and I guess after that element of it, you can look at it from a different perspective, whether it's from coaching or however you decide to be a part of the sport, and think, well, this has given me so much, and it's really shown me that I've got so many opportunities, or there's so many opportunities out there. I just want to make sure that I can give that back to someone else. And that idea of sending the elevator back down for me at the moment is what's really driving me and what keeps me in love with the sport. I love playing it in terms of being with my teammates and going out there, and that kind of goes into your form of meditation, but that's evolved so much for me over the years, whether it's been finding a new challenge of coaching and being really uncomfortable and unsure, but actually I love that feeling on the other side of it of, okay, I know this is not going to be easy, but if I push through, I know it's going to be so great on the other side. To now, how can we just get more people to fall in love with the sport and feel good about themselves too? I know I would say almost for everyone on this call, football has given us some form of self-confidence or some form of empowerment, which is really, really powerful in general, just to have that come from a sport. You start, I remember a couple of years ago, you're like, yeah, I play football. And like all of a sudden, like you stand up taller and you just think like, this is pretty cool. Like I'm a part of something that's really quite cool. And it's not just a community of us on this call or us in the UK. I mean, Lexi's a great example. We're now growing our community, especially for the female side of things. This is worldwide, and no matter where you are in the world, you'll probably know somebody that's involved in the sport, and that's really quite special.
The reason I picked up on that one is I just thought everyone would have such a different story on how they feel passionate about this sport, and I just thought that's like, this is the time to share that with people. Like, I think that's brilliant. I love how it's number one as well. Like, I really like that. So, Alexia, back over to you.
All right, so this next one is, we're going to talk about being fearless. This one doesn't require as much as you think. So the definition of be fearless is just a simple lack of fear. Some other words that I liked that went along with this were courageous, daring, audacious, and confident. We're going to touch back on those later on, but I wanted to at least put those up on the screen. And much as I know this is football, I felt like Serena was a great example. I don't know if many of you know, but Serena was going to retire much sooner than obviously she's pretty close to retirement. But she got a new coach, and this new coach basically like just kind of spoke life into her mindset. And it was in that time that Serena had kind of came back. I don't know the year or what season of hers it was, but she ended up coming back and winning like 3 or 4 like in a row opens, like ridiculously, like after she had already mentioned that she was about to go in retirement. And then from that point on, she just continued her career. So that was just an example on how, being fearless will bring you much further than your mind is allowing you to. Because fear is at the very top, is your number one enemy, because fear leads to doubt. And obviously in women, we're emotional creatures, it's in our chemical makeup. Once we start doubting, we start avoiding, right? And we no longer want part in whatever it is that's making us have this anxiety or this fear. Because what are you truly afraid of? Especially in football. Like what is there anything really to be fearful of? And if there is, I guarantee it's self-inflicted. And I discovered that because I never thought, with me becoming the graduate assistant, that was kind of like my light bulb for myself. Like, Lexi, you can do this, They presented me the opportunity to work, but now I got, basically a promotion. Like, what am I afraid of? They just showed me that I myself can do this. Because 10 times out of 10, this is my statistic, I don't know if it's true, but 10 times out of 10, if you allow fear to creep in and sabotage an opportunity, it will. I think 100% of the time, if we act on fear, it'll never go our way. Because, I'm sure there's a percentage in there, they call that luck, but I'm pretty sure every time that I've allowed fear to kind of keep me from doing whatever it is that I wanted to do, fear won every single time. And basically this next one, even in times of fear or in fearful situations, you can still demonstrate confidence. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I'm new in my role, so it's almost inevitable that I'm going to make a mistake. Basically how I respond to that mistake, says a lot about my character. But something that I fear, that I do not like, is confrontation, right? I am in a kind of a support staff role, and so the coaches and players depend on me. If I make a mistake, I'm going to find out about it, right? I'm not necessarily looking forward to that conversation. But even though on the inside I'm fearful, you don't see that on the outside. I'm going to demonstrate confidence. I'm going to take the criticism, and then you're not going to really know that I even made a mistake, because the way I see it, it was a lesson. And the mistake won't ever be that bad ever again. That's confidence in yourself. That's confidence in your performance. That's an easy way to get out of fear. Just believing that you can get up out of it. It's mental. And even if you don't really know if you can make it out, fake it until you do. And I don't really like saying that either, because I'm all about authenticity, but there's going to be times where you're not going to like the job that you're doing. There's going to be times you don't like the situation. You're unsure of how to handle it. Don't let them see you sweat. Stick it out, thug it out. Do what you got to do to get it done, to get it correct, and then move forward, learn from it. Look back and reflect, but, make sure you move forward, because you're capable of anything you put your mind to. And this is going to lead to the next component. So if anyone has anything to say about this,
I would just like to say now, for anyone that's going to a job interview, anyone that's thinking about getting into a sport, anyone that's got an exam or anything, just go back and watch the last few minutes of this show just there and watch it beforehand, because I promise you it'll change your mindset, because that is just blowing me away. That was fantastic. That was absolutely brilliant. I love that. Show young kids that last few minutes. I'm telling you, show young kids.
Take a screenshot of this if you need to.
I'm telling you, I'm showing all of my young players the last few minutes of this show just there. That is fantastic.
Probably older players as well. I think that is something that crosses all ages and genders, and I think our most of the time our biggest issue is ourselves, right? Like just like Lexi said, it's the only fear is really our own self-doubt. That's what tends to put us in these kind of divots like that. But no, Lexi, you hit the nail on the head. As always, you're awesome.
I'm not even joking. I've been injured for years. I'm ready to go kick back up again.
You're not like.
That was unbelievable. Thanks for that.
Nah, awesome. I'm happy we're all in agreement with that. This is my first time even like kind of reflecting on it. So that was something that I saw in myself. So I felt like I had to share it, because if I saw it in myself, I know everyone's got their own, perspective of it. Let's go ahead and hop into this next one. So this last one says, you're capable of anything you put your mind to. Why? It's obvious. It's the last concept, because you are fabulous. You are. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, because fabulous means what? Extraordinary, amazingly good, wonderful. Why can't you be any of those things? Why aren't you any of those things? You can't answer that question, because you are. Everyone has their own unique characteristic that makes them themselves, that makes them great at what they do, that makes people love them, right? If you don't believe it, how do you expect your employer or your colleagues to? If you don't walk into the office and every day you walk in with the attitude that, you know what, I'm a great person, I do great at my job, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to continue to strive for greatness, your employer and your colleagues are going to say and lift you up in the same manner, right? And whatever you need to do to like feel like that, do it. For me, it's my clothes. For the longest time as a student, look at what I'm wearing right now. This is pretty transparent with how I was in my 4 years of college, comfortable and collected. That's kind of my style. But now that I'm like older and trying to pursue a career, to me, I always say wear what you want. But in order for me to truly feel like I am fabulous, I do kind of put a little bit more time into my outfit, because it reminds every single man in that office, oh, Lexi came to play today. Like, she's about it. She's ready. She didn't wake up, put a T-shirt and leggings on like she does every day. She came today to work today. And I don't feel bad about it, because I noticed that they noticed. And it makes me feel good back on myself. And it promotes that self-confidence again. So for me, it's clothes. For you, it may be getting your Starbucks drink every morning. It may be getting your lunch. It may be, saying hi to your favorite coach. Whatever it is that you need to do to bring out that fabulosity, to bring out who you are, do it. Okay? Because being yourself is what got you to this point. Is there anything you guys want to speak on that about?
I'm just blown away. Like, I love the way that you talk, man. Like, this is unreal.
I put a lot of thought into this because I think it's important. And I tell my friends this. That's the other thing. I talk like this to my friends because it's important in any kind of industry, but sports especially, because women, we're outnumbered. We got to stick together. We need to uplift each other.
Lexi, we're sat across the table from each other, and we just keep looking at each other as like mouth open. I genuinely hope that people seeing this and are going to look back. Like we said, we're going to show the kids this. We'll show the adults this. We need to watch this back. This is fantastic.
I think just to jump in, I think one of the things about this slide as well is that I feel like I definitely feel like a lot of people have lost this. I don't know, like, if you've been working, Lexi, but I've been working from home for over 12 months now. I wear my tracky bottoms and I wear a t-shirt. So I basically wear the t-shirt and leggings, right? And I think there's a level of, I think a lot of us are getting back to, like, I think we need to rediscover our, I've never used this word before, but fabulosity. like when I get back to work, it's going to be weird, right? I'm going to have to go back to the office and rediscover what that is about myself. And I'm kind of going through that process now, knowing that I'm going to have to get back to work, and I'm actually doing some work to try and kind of rediscover and get back to where I want to be. But I think this is really important, because however you interpret it, and however you think, like whatever you think makes you extraordinary or wonderful or whatever, I think it might take some work for some people to kind of get back to that point. Especially as we've got coaches just kind of getting back to seasons as well, when you put it into a coaching perspective, rediscovering, like, I think sometimes as coaches, you sometimes hard on yourselves, and kind of rediscovering like why you rate yourself, and the things that you do that give you confidence, and the things that you do that you should give yourself a pat on the back for. And I think that's a bit of a process.
I think it's for everyone, isn't it? Like, it's everyone getting back into it now. It's one of those things, especially after let's put it, the COVID times that we've had and things like you know what it is. I'm even going to say from my perspective, it wasn't until the build up to the whole convention and things that I thought actually football's back. Like, we had our first game the other week and it was like football's back, and it's like getting into the swing of it. I know we've had a few practices and things like that, but now that it's starting to heat up and the season's going, like it's only just starting to feel a little bit like normal for myself. I don't know about you guys. Like, what do you think, Phoebe?
I mean, I guess it's a bit different because I've been really fortunate, I guess, to be out here in Potsdam, and we started our training camp probably a month or so ago. But I think it's, for me, like, even I was trying to think of the last time I've been full-time coaching, and to be honest, full-time coaching would have been in Buffalo. So yeah, we have our under-19s, which has been wonderful, but it was so refreshing. It was challenging, don't get me wrong, but it's so refreshing to be back around football 24/7 and remembering to like figure out my identity and realize like, okay, this is exactly what I need to do. I need to find my routine. And, I had really great support system around me with the Royals out here, but still you need to kind of get that like swag back again and get back into the swing of things. So I can definitely agree with everything that's being said. Everyone has a different season and everyone's football life and journey looks different, but actually like we're all still going through the same thing, just on different levels.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you have, I'll put this over to everyone as well, do you have like a set thing that you've got to do, like pre-training or pre-game, that you've done it for however many long, you don't know how it started, but that's, if you do it, that's you're ready to go sort of thing? I seen Alex look up there. I'm gonna fire that over to Alex first.
Only because I don't have anything. I feel really useless. I don't have any superstition. I don't have any standard meal that I have. Like if I'm playing, so I play rugby as well. So I don't really do anything. I just make sure that I'm ready. I do sing to myself probably, but that's something I do out of habit or unconsciously more than anything else.
All right, what are you singing at the minute?
What am I singing right now? Well, obviously nothing. I just rediscovered an old album that I really love by the Howling Bells. They're an Australian band, really obscure. But that's what I'm singing right now, whilst running on the treadmill, which is a good way to knack yourself.
Yeah, I walk on a treadmill. I still won't sing. Nina, over to you.
I don't think there's any particular thing I do, but Coach Hill, Coach Wade even always says, bring the energy, be the energy. So I always think it's important, game day or training day is the moment you step foot in that training facility or on the field, is that you are the energy. Positivity breeds positivity, energy breeds energy. You smile at someone, they feel better about themselves. So for me, it's always been, from the off, when you first are there, like set the tone. And that's how I kind of see things, I guess.
I mean, I agree. I think, and I think that's what I guess you'll love this, but I think that's what the Lions do really well, actually, which I noticed. I used to play for Hertfordshire, and then I moved to the Lions and started coaching there. Which, if you know the history of the teams, it's a bit controversial to some extent. But the Lions do that really, really well, and the coaches have always kind of set the tone. And I think, especially, even though they've had a switch in coaching staff, I was lucky enough to kind of just spy on one of the training sessions recently, and the tone is fantastic. The coaches really set the tone there, and it's great to see that there's a lot more female coaches coaching the Lions as well. It's really cool.
Come on, Phoebe, you're bound to have something on you.
That I do pre-game or for training and stuff.
Just anything. You've got to be a superstition or something somewhere.
I don't have a superstition. My pair of Daves that are here, my other coaches, are trying to find things that I do. But no, I mean, in Buffalo, we would always do a pre-game game, like where you 10 yards away. I'm sorry, they're being so ridiculous in here. Where you have to do targets. So I would always do that. It was great to do with the other coaches. It kind of gets your mind off things, so you get to be a bit free. Or we do it with injured players, which is a nice way for them to feel like they're doing something pregame. Also, everyone else does their own warm-ups. But, I mean, really hitting what they're doing, for me, it's all about the energy. It's about the positivity. It's feeling the energy in the room as well, because everyone has different things that they personally need before a game. So one person might need that, loud in your face excitement, and someone just wants to be quiet by themselves. So I think half of that is also using your emotional IQ to kind of feel out what everyone needs and how you can kind of play to each other's needs as well.
For me, if the wrong guy gets on the speaker before the game, my game is ruined. I'm not even gonna lie. Like the wrong song on the speaker for me, and I've had a weird one. So I coach youth. Okay, for people that don't know. We got absolutely hammered a few years ago because this is going to sound bad. It wasn't that the other team were better. It's because I didn't have my Monster Energy Mango Loco drink beforehand. So that's the reason we lost. So now I've got to have that. And I ended up having to drive once. It must have been about a 10-mile drive because I couldn't find it anywhere. But I managed to get one before game. So that's the reason we win. It's not being prepared. It's the Mango Loco. Alexia, back over to you.
Yeah, I'll do mine. I'm a big music person, but also I cannot rush. So I will start getting ready as early as possible to make sure that I can get everything down to a T. I have everything in my bag. Okay, cool. We're gonna leave the house at this time. I have to have all the time in the world to get to where I need to be or to start my workout, whatever it is. I cannot rush, but that's just me. So. Actually, this next piece is really our discussion piece. I don't have much more as far as the presentation goes. It was more so kind of opening the floor for discussion, questions, and comments. I did have kind of my own couple that we could start with. Just kind of some comments, how I feel about, the progress with women in football specifically, but in sport overall as well. And then just kind of just kind of some women got to stick together type of stuff. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was obviously diversity and representation in the sport industry is very important. And almost every day, we see all the different organizations, making a way or trying to, show us in the world, they're doing their part. I guess what I wanted to say first was as women, we also do need to understand that, with times being, changing and, different ideas kind of floating around and across the border, we still have to have some type of patience. And that sounds horrible because, we want it to be how we want it right now. But the reality is it's not like that. Not everyone is on the same page. So it's still something that we need to fight for together. And basically, like I said, just kind of, it sounds bad, but wait our turn. The time is coming. It's the change is happening very quickly. But I feel it starts with us, and it's on us to continue pushing this journey forward.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like to an extent, because hopefully it's very soon.
Right.
But I think, I mean, I work in advertising outside of this, which is a really male-dominated profession. So you know, I'll work in a team that's like 90% men, and they're all lovely. But there's a there is a push for parity and further representation in the business and in the industry, and I think it's not. It has to be a conversation. It's not a one-way street, and I think you know, I mean, we're on this call, and there are men and women on this call, and I think like women can't push for equality in anything without working with men to do that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I put myself in a perspective of someone who holds power, if someone is trying to take that power away from me, or take my representation away from me, it feels difficult to give that up. But if it's a conversation, and it's everybody working together, and kind of women working with allies in the industry, that it's much easier to achieve.
Yeah.
So I always think that men have to be part of the conversation as well, and that's something I really advocate in my industry.
So you said there, Alex, about needing those allies and that sort of thing. What to you, and what experience have you had of positive allies that have helped you grow into the position that you are, where you've been in American football, you're doing the rugby and that sort of thing?
I think, well, I've been hugely helped by I guess later male coaches, you know, and female colleagues as well. You know, I think we've had people like Phoebe we've had people like Phoebe to look up to. You know, there are women coaching in the NFL. There are women coaching in is it the XFL or is it the other one? Whatever. Like Lo Locust went from there to coaching at Tampa Bay. We've got a lot of role models now, of course. But you know, the male coaches, especially involved in the GB program, were massively supportive of me. I wouldn't have been involved if they hadn't reached out and said that they thought that I should be. I had a huge amount of support from them. And also, you know, Coach Hill getting me involved in this, which kind of has taken me in a slightly different direction. You know, he's a huge advocate of women's football and women coaching in football. So, yeah, hugely influential. I think we're really lucky, actually, within this sport, especially to have so many allies. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Shout out Coach Warsaw. I know you're watching. He was the one who hired me. So I also have a male ally as well. Thank you so much for putting your support in me.
I think that's important, right? We need to have like men in those roles that champion females. They're able to bring us into that space that, you know, looks different to how we look just naturally. And similar to all you guys, whether it's been Coach Hill, Scott Pioli is one of my mentors, and he's been incredible. You know, someone who's been at the lead as a GM throughout years in the NFL. So that makes a really big difference. I think when someone that other men, other people respect are like, hey, this person is doing a great job, or this person deserves to be here, it already starts to take down people's walls a little bit, which is what we need. But I mean, Alex hit the nail on the head in terms of within this sport, we have so many people that are allies, that are so supportive. They don't really care what your gender is. And even more so in the UK, I would say, ever since I think any of us got involved in this sport, no one's cared what our gender is, whether we're playing, whether we're coaching. They're all just excited for us, and we're excited for each other. But, you know, I think no matter what, we're all competitors somewhere inside of us, and things will never necessarily move as quickly as we want them to. But there's so much going on in the background. There are so many people across UK, across the world that are doing different things to try and grow this game together, that actually in 5-10 years from now will be like, oh my goodness, like this is so cool. You know, look at where we are now. But again, like it'll never be enough for us, because we always want to be pushing, because we know how great this can be and how much further we can push it.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just gonna say something that Phoebe said that I was actually gonna touch, like in the next one. But no, that whole they don't really care what your gender is. That is 100% true. Because with me just starting, like I just started in my role, and when I first started, I was a little nervous because sitting in the office room, it's very obvious. But who is it very obvious to? Me, right? So once I kind of got to working in my role and doing what it is I was supposed to do, like my job title, I noticed they couldn't care any, what I'm saying? They really couldn't. As long as, the job was done, they liked it, and I did it in a way, that they appreciated it. They couldn't really care if I was a girl or a guy. And I think that's important too, because I think sometimes we do get wrapped up in the fact that we're the first one or we're the only one, that we kind of forget like what we're there to do, and that is the job. Although being the first or only is important and it shouldn't go unnoticed, I think that sometimes we, not everybody, but, just a small group, we kind of get caught up in the, the only woman aspect of work.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think there's, especially throughout these past few years, and there will still be a lot more firsts, and that's so exciting. Like that's awesome for whomever becomes the first of whatever great accomplishment it is, but literally none of that matters if there's nobody after you. So the bigger vision has to be on what is the legacy that you're leaving behind, and what are we doing to then continue the growth for other people to get involved. And I think that's actually where our focus needs to be more, like exactly like you were saying. Like it can't be about just one person. That doesn't carry enough weight. Like that might be a great platform for people, but actually now, what are you going to do with that? And that's the challenge to anybody that's in those roles. And I think we've been really fortunate with a lot of women that have been first, especially lately in the NFL or wherever, to be honest, that they're great people who are also looking to then, bring it back to the youth level and grow it from the roots upwards.
I really love actually with Britball that from the start, from when the women's league was really introduced properly, that actually, the men in the league, which are mainly the people that started it, have been uplifting the women from the start. There's been female coaches almost from year one. So I love that over here, it's almost a level playing field before you start. We've got DCs and OCs and coaches, positional coaches, refs, all sorts here already to make it not feel like a first is a big thing. And I think that's a massive, really positive point that, in America, firsts are such huge things because it's such an ingrained culture. Whereas I think they set it up really well here that firsts are great and they're first, but they're not, massive triumphs for us because we're easily supported by everybody around us to make those leaps into coaching and all the rest of it.
For me, I just can't wait until there's. This might sound. I'm trying to get this out right, but when it's more normalized. Do you know what I mean? Like if it for this now, we're coming on, we're doing this talk and things, but can you imagine when it's just like normal? Like we don't have to come on and we don't have to talk about it, and it's just. It doesn't matter about gender and things. Like, let's be honest, we still hear people say, "Oh, this team's got a women's player," and like it doesn't make a difference. Like, I bet you she's going to put you on your backside, son. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think that's like the utopia for any kind of representation. Is when you don't have to celebrate it anymore. Really, I mean. Talking about this at work, but in kind of representation of kind of LGBT over pride is that obviously like everybody does it, and all of a sudden everybody has a same-sex couple in their advertising, or they've got a rainbow flag on there, whatever, and you're like, okay, that's great, and thanks for that. Are you going to do it the rest of the year? Probably not. But like it would be fantastic to get to the point where that's not celebrated, because that's just the usual. And I learned a great word actually the other day, which is instead of normalize, because it implies that and I always use it, so this is fine. But
Sure.
instead of normalize, you can use usualize, which isn't a word, but it does imply that something was abnormal before. So I'm just telling everybody that it was a new word that I learned, and I really
We're
like
going to get that on a hashtag now.
Love it.
Usualize. I
like
like it.
usualize. Yeah.
It was funny because talking about this, and I'm sure Coach Saul, who I'm with, won't mind me kind of sharing this little anecdote. I was saying to him that I was going to be on this call with everyone, and I'd mentioned about Lexi, you being on the call and your role within Akron. And I think I said, Alexa, I don't even know I'd said your name at that point. And it was funny, all of a sudden you were on the screen first, and Coach Saul looked up and was like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be a female. And, I think that's the perfect example, right? That's we're going to get to the level where, yeah, okay, it can be anybody. It can be, it doesn't matter who you are, what you believe in, and you can do any role at all. And this is just the more that we can kind of share stories, I think it feels sometimes like we have to do that right now, but actually just so more people know that, hey, my name is Alex and I do this, or Nina and I coach this. And, I think it's actually kind of a cool thing for now. And it's not something we'll have to do forever, but actually the story sharing at this moment is really important, just to bring kind of awareness.
Yeah. We need to celebrate the hell out of it at the minute, don't we? Until it what was it? Usualized. I can't. I'm trying. Hashtag. Sorry, right? But it's one of those things. Like, yeah, let's just get it done. Let's progress and geez, listen to the call so far. Like, it's been unbelievable for me just sitting and listening to some of the things. Like, I think it's fantastic. I like the way that everyone's coming together and we're talking about things, and I just like the way it just motivates even myself to go and do stuff more, and I'm loving it. I'm just loving it so far. Thanks for letting us host this, by the way. Lexia, back over to you.
No, it's all good. The only other thing I had to say was, don't let a bad experience kind of determine the rest of your journey. It's possible. It's often inevitable. And then not every fallout is because of gender. It's just like any other job. They can have their reasons. I guess what I'm saying is don't make gender the sole reason for anything. It never should be. In football, I think it's, like I said, it's easy to kind of, scapegoat and, make excuses, but it doesn't have to be like that. So just the change in mindset is really all it is. And, we all have to work together.
100% agree. 100% agree. What's I'm just want to throw this little question at you. What's your favorite thing in football so far?
My favorite thing in football. Ooh. Now, I will say I just did my first recruiting season, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of like that because it's a mix of the older guys and the incoming. And so I get to see that part as far as the training, the summer and how that works. But also on the flip side, the coaches and how much they dive into recruiting out of season. Because, I'm used to in season, work, football, film, in the weight room, film, we're watching all that. But when the season's not here, this is my first experience kind of seeing just the flow. And I like how even though, we're not playing any games, players and coaches make it a point to come in, see each other, even if it's for a few hours, if they don't have anything to do for the day. Like I said, kind of the family aspect, and outside, like I said, away from football, everyone still wants to come to the office and just be around. That's my favorite part.
Alex?
Favorite thing in general, or favorite memory or moment, or
Either.
I mean, I have a lot of favorite memories, a lot of terrible ones as well. The losses hurt, don't they, sometimes? But
every loss hurts.
I think my favorite, and this is an extended memory, is seeing a player that I coached go from the very beginning all the way onto the pitch for GB. And yeah, not the very beginning, but very, very near the beginning. And I went, and it was like we used to like coach in like a park in Stoke, and it was like boggy and awful, and like you know, you've got like dogs running through your training session, and there's like 4 of you there, and you play 5s, so you like wonder how you're going to put a team together. Through to you know, I think she went and she started to play for kind of another local team because that team folded, and I didn't see her for a little while. And then when I was involved in GB, she came back and she was on the practice squad, and it was just fantastic to see how she progressed, and then see her progression through that time spent working with GB, and then, you know, her kind of getting selected and getting onto the field. And I don't take really any credit for that, but it was just fantastic to see her journey from
Just
the very
take the credit. Take the credit, Alex.
No, I can't, because I didn't spend, like, a lot of that time as well, I didn't spend with her, right? She was off like playing for other teams, and it was just to see her grow as a player, and also her confidence grow. Yeah, that's probably my best memory.
I really like that. That's a really reflective sort of happy memory, and looking back, and I think it reflects on you as well in terms of your progression, seeing their progression, and just how the two met again later down the line, and supporting that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the reason why I wanted to get involved in the first place, in coaching. So I guess that's why that's kind of my favorite experience.
That's fantastic. Nina?
Very cliche, but it's the camaraderie, really. The old saying of football family. It's unlike any other sport, and that's absolutely my favourite thing about it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, you know, what your ability is, whether you're a coach, a player, a staff member, you know, someone that's just on the sideline. You know, you all buy into the same thing, and actually you become this big football family. You know, you meet people across the world, and they're part of this extended family. And honestly, I've you know, played all sorts of sports and never come across anything quite like it. I think it's a phenomenal thing football manages to have, and tie the whole world together almost.
Absolutely. And on that family thing, both Adam and I are parents of young girls who probably know more about football than I could have ever imagined knowing football at their age. We've been coaches, and we've got that coach's mindset and not. But what can we do as coaches who are also parents to support young girls going forward, so we can utilize their participation and getting it there and getting that level play field and going forwards?
I think it's just giving them that you can attitude, you know, like, so people are so often, you know, oh, you throw like a girl, or you do this like a girl, or whatever. I think, you know, drill in them that, you know, you absolutely can, whatever it is, you know, you can ... Like, I think that's the most important thing to a young girl.
I'm just going to put it out there. My year 6 girls soccer team beat my year 6 boys soccer team, and also county cup champions. So
yes, girls.
Love it. Alexia, do you have any more slides or anything for us?
Nope, the last one is just some contact info. So if anyone wants it in the chat as well, I can put it there. I am fairly new to Twitter, so don't judge me when you go to my account. But that's also my email. I'm free of contact on either. Just reach out. Feel free to ask any questions, comments, or just to network.
Perfect. So I would just like to thank everyone for coming on. We have reached around the hour mark now anyways, but is there anything anyone else would like to say before we end up? Everyone all good?
Yeah, no, good. Just thank you so much for having us, and thanks, Lexi, for your presentation. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I second that. A great hour spent.
Yeah.
I would just like to say thank you to everyone. Thanks to everyone for watching. Alexia, honestly, that presentation was unbelievable. We'll be showing everyone that from now on, so I really do appreciate that. Alex, Nina, thanks for coming on. Sean, thanks for rescuing us, letting us use your Wi-Fi. So thanks very much, guys. Hope to talk to you all soon. If you're going to watch this, it will be going in the BAFCA members only section on the website next week. It's on the Facebook for now, so you can feel free to watch back. Tag some people in here so they can come back and watch this cracking little episode that we've done so far. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.